Welcome back to the Tech Coach Corner YouTube series presented by Dyknow. I'm Tiara Lustig, your host, and today I'm joined by Julie Daniel Davis, who is an advocate for voice learning technology and has a lengthy experience in K-12 education. Today we're talking with Julie about 5 P's that are driving education and the future of K-12 education, and a few more P's beyond those 5 that we initially discussed on the podcast. As always, before we jump into the episode, don't forget to subscribe to Dyno's YouTube channel so that you never miss a Tech Code Corner episode and you never missed a Dyknow Digest episode. We also post all of our digital event recordings as well as some other great videos on our channel, so make sure to subscribe so you never miss any of those either. As always, don't forget to follow us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you are, we are probably there. So we look forward to engaging with you on all of our social channels. That's all I have to plug today. So without further ado, let's jump into our conversation with Julie. Welcome back to Tech Coach Corner, everyone. Today I am joined by Julie Daniel Davis. Julie, welcome to the show. Would you mind giving people a brief introduction to yourself before we get started?
Sure. As you said, my name is Julie Daniel Davis, and I am an adjunct EdTech faculty member at UT Chattanooga, where I teach current teachers and future teachers and some computer scientists about educational technology. And in that role, and in my formal role in a K-12 environment, I've found that it's important to stay on the cutting edge of EdTech, because if you're not, then you're irrelevant. So consider myself an educational futurist, and that's who I am.
I love the title of educational futurist, and I think with the onset and influx of technology integration due to remote learning this past year, it's been so important to stay at the forefront and really look ahead to what's going to become trending, where is education going to go in the future, and that's exactly what we want to talk about today. So when we had you on the podcast initially, you spoke about 5 P's of education, and now it sounds like that has nearly doubled, if not tripled. So I'd love for you to share what are the future of education in your eyes, and where is the future going?
Yeah. So after we talked, I just started brainstorming and thinking more about it. I've actually done a few presentations on it. And I think the things that we have to really keep in mind are that education, as we look at it now, what we've learned from the pandemic is that it's going to be personalized. We're going to see more and more education being developed specifically for certain students or certain groups of students. And that may be overwhelming for a teacher. But once you realize that it doesn't mean teaching every single student a different way every day, and it's more about giving them choice and a choice board in considering their path based on both their needs and their interests, then you start really meeting those needs. I think that we're going to see education being more participatory. Because teachers can use a playlist, there's going to be less in front of the room instruction. And because of that, it allows a teacher to have one-on-one conversations with the students. Really let those students invest in, okay, here's where you are. What are your goals? Where do you want to be with this? And so that investment is going to cause more autonomy in learning. And I think that's going to see something we see in the future as well. We're also going to see increase in education being portable. You know, what we saw because of the pandemic was that education could happen just about anywhere. And we will see, I think, more devices, more platforms that are available, more things that help teachers become able to teach wherever the student might happen to be. That's going to be part of the future, I do believe. We're going to see it be more pedagogy driven. I think for the last 10 years, what we've seen is people adjusting to bells and whistles. Oh, that's shiny. I think I'll try that. What I think we'll see in the future, because what we've seen from people who are doing that is that doesn't work. There's got to be meaningful education there. So, you know, first teachers got to start with what they're trying to do, and then you add the technology on top of that. And I think we're going to see more of that instead of, hey, I've got this shiny object. How do I make it work with what I'm doing? And that goes right along with purposeful. I think technology is going to be more purposeful. There are tons of great tech models out out there now. You've got the SAMR model, the TPAC model, the Triple E, lots of them. I would suggest to any educator to go out there, make yourself aware of those models, and then when you start thinking about how does technology play a part in this lesson, or does it, put it into the realm of those models and figure out, okay, yeah, this works. This is why I should use that. I think technology is going to be predictive. We're going to see algorithms drive a lot of the things that students are doing. And while data might be a bad word to a lot of educators, it also has value. And so to predict when a kid might fall between a crack, or to predict that a student didn't get something or is probably not going to get a concept, to be able to adjust to that, and that goes back to the personalization, that predictive is going to be really helpful for the future. The other thing that I think we're going to see is that privacy and persistent data are going to play a major role in the future, and maybe not in a good way. What we'll see is that EdTech companies are really going to have to be very transparent on the way they use student data, on the way they store student data, and the way they purposefully use it for just the things they say they're using it for. That persistent data is something that is scary to a lot of families. How long are you keeping that data that my kid did in second grade? And how is it being used? And so I think what we're going to see in the future of EdTech, and we're seeing it already, Apple has already started doing things there. You know, they now for an app, you've got to adjust to that. And you get to say, no, I don't want you to collect anything but these cookies. So we're going to see more and more of that. And I'm excited about that as well. So I think that for the most part, EdTech is growing up. And we're seeing an adult version of what was playful and cumbersome and sometimes absolutely unnecessary grow into what it needs to be, because lastly, it is now pandemic wise.
That is a great way to end the P's. I think that is one thing that so many districts and schools have taken away from this period of remote learning that's been going on for a little over a year now, is, you know, we have to be centered around what if this pandemic happens again, and all of the other P's that you mentioned really help us be prepared for that, with it being programmable, having it be predictive, having it be personalized. We're in a better place to be adaptable to another kind of pandemic or something unpredictable happening to us. So I think that's a great way to look at the future of education. And it's so technology driven that it is so important to take all of these P's into account, because the future of education and technology and EdTech are really synonymous at this point. I think there's no future of education without technology being a part of that. So it's really important to be centered around those P's, keep those in mind, and continue to grow in our knowledge of education and use of technology with education. So thank you, Julie. It's great to hear those additional P's that we didn't get to talk about in our last conversation. Where can people find you on social and on other channels if they'd like to engage with you further?
Yeah, I'm very active on Twitter. You can find me at juliedavisedu. You can also find me at a website, www.juliedavisedu.com, or you can shoot me an email at juliedavisedu@gmail.com.
Perfect. Well, we will link all of that in the video description, and people will be able to engage with you from there. So thank you so much, Julie, for talking with us today about the P's of the future of education.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.